here in the coastal region until Monday. But it's going to be cold. It's just cold for us. It's not like cold for y'all. So here's the good news, folks. Gardening goes on. And some of the things that you really should not do are the things that you should not do in cold weather as well as in the wintertime. One of my themes for this particular broadcast is leave the leaves. Not all of them. I'm not saying go 6 inches deep on top of your lawn. That's not going to be helpful. But we need to find corners and crevices and little spaces in the garden to leave some things for our pollinators and, frankly, for things like praying mantis egg masses and things that are just lurking out there that you might be tempted to toss if you don't realize what it is. But if you can leave a wild area, it's always a good thing. You know, generally speaking, the critters need a place to eat, a place to drink, a place to rest, and a place to nest. And not all of those things are going on necessarily at the same time in the winter, but at this particular point in the winter, it's real important for them to have a place to kind of settle in, to hunker down, as we humans tend to say, and to have a place also, of course, to protect those egg sacs and things for the next year. The same practices that we might use to clean up, to get rid of the pests, can sometimes be a problem for the ones that we'd actually like to nurture. So I just say be careful, leave a little bit of a wild area. That doesn't take away the notion that we need to be conscious that it's still pretty good temperatures for doing a little bit of spraying once we get past this cold spell. If you haven't done your shrubs and things with a horticulture oil, you probably want to consider that. Put it on the list for a week or 10 days from now. We were already getting questions this morning, as always, at this point in any kind of weather pattern. Kathy and Vaughn says, our blueberry bushes have tiny buds on them. What's going to happen? So hard to know. This is where we actually have to look at what is going to happen and what may happen. There are, for example, if I had just planted blueberry bushes or really most any young shrub like that, I'd probably be covering them up if they were budding out. But on the other hand, you want them to be able to take the weather that they're going to get accustomed to, so you don't want to wrap them up and don't want to leave them wrapped up for too long. It's a balancing act, just like anything else in the garden. Kathy, the ice, if the ice there is there and stays, the first thing that happens is that the buds are coated and they're protected actually by the ice for a little bit of time. It really depends on how long that temperature persists as to whether or not the blueberry buds and other sorts, you might have plums that are in bud, you might have peaches that are in bud, there's any number of things, but those are that's really what we have to look at. This is why, if it was going to be doing this in the strawberry fields, for example, you would see sprinklers turned on to keep the leaves and fruit wet. That's what helps them go into a freezing situation. But that's a few hours. If this goes on for several days, the buds are more than likely going to be damaged, even if you covered the shrubs up. So I just say keep a look at them. Know that blueberries are going to do something every year. And if this turns out to be a low production year, that's just how it goes sometimes, and we do have that problem. There's a few buds on most everybody's blueberries, but it depends on the variety also as to whether or not how early they have budded up. Okay? Now, we've got some fun things going on today. We're going to have a chance to talk about the Gulf Coast Orchid Show at 8:30, and then I understand he has on his high waiters today. Mark Patrick's going to come in the 9 o'clock hour, and we'll be talking a little bit about what's going on in the landscape that he is working on. I haven't seen the results yet, but I know that he planted 500 bulbs last week, so I expect he's lost 7 or 8 pounds and may not be verbal yet. We'll see how that goes. But that is quite a reminder that if you don't already have all your flower bulbs in the ground, things like daffodils and tulips, it's hurry up. We're right at the edge of their time to get. They may or may not bloom in terms of the daffodils, They probably will, but it'll be a little bit late. But the tulips certainly need to get on in there. If you've got them still in the refrigerator, I still have a few out there I've got to do something for. Today, my dear Lance, is Change a Pet's Life Day. Now, a lot of people take that to mean this is the day that you might adopt a pet. This is the day that you might, go and adopt another pet if you haven't already adopted one or two. But I'm tending to think that it might also be the day that you, get a different collar, try a different training regime, maybe even shift over a diet a little bit, just something to change your pet's life, not necessarily the pet that you don't have already, but the pet that you do have. What do y'all think? What does that mean to you? What's it going to tell us? It's also, today is the International Day of Education, something that I can't help but be happy about. This is, frankly, you're here, I'm here, we're all talking about these things because we appreciate knowing more about something tomorrow than we knew yesterday. And I think that that's very helpful. That's really what education's all about, is learning how to learn, and keeping that all going all the way through is really important, really helps out a whole bunch. Oh, my goodness. There's so many things going on in the winter garden. I have been just admiring bark this week. Nice. As all the leaves fall off of things, we get a chance to see the sycamores and the oaks and everybody with some of their just other features, And, of course, people are out pruning crepe myrtles, and that's one of the best bark trees that we have. But I got to tell you, so I always get the emails about when people start pruning, they go, how come this bark is peeling so much on the crepe myrtle? It is supposed to in most varieties. It is a quality of the tree in its native habitat that breeders really liked, and so as they could encourage it, they began to do that. But I have to say that it is sometimes a little bit much when you go to prune the tree and you realize you've got whole shafts of it falling off onto the ground. It can be quite a surprise. So don't be too surprised. It'll be okay. Oh, this looks nice. I think this must be out there in Brandon. The greenhouse is tucked in tight, and I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure we'll hear about it later. The bay leaf bush is ready. Greg and Vaughn has got it. I mean, this is a drape, my friends. This isn't coming off for a week. I can see what you're preparing for. Oh, my goodness. And it is true. If your bay tree is in the ground, that and it's a laurelus, it nobilis rather, it is one of the ones that can take a little damage, but you may not want it to be set back as much as it will be in this kind of cold stretch. So covering it up for a few days is not a bad idea. I'll give Greg that one. That's the best choice I can see for that particular plant. It's in an exposed area of the property, and it is a big plant. So it needs to have, he says the lower teens, it hates the lower teens, he says, that's true, it does. The bay that I have froze completely down to about 6 inches in the last really serious set of freezes that it went through in central Mississippi, and now it's more of a shrub. It used to be a tree, now it's a shrub. So yeah, you do need to protect that one if you are where it's going to be below freezing for several days. It will still suffer, but it won't suffer completely. You won't lose it, I don't believe.
It looks very comfy.
Doesn't it? Everybody should have that coat.
Yeah. I need that coat.
That poor little statue looks so cold out in front of it.
It does. Put a little dog jacket on it or something.
That's right.
Make it feel like accepted.
Now, see, that might be what you do to change the pet's life today. You might just go get a new dog jacket or a new cat jacket, cat toy or something.
Oh man, Hawk! I have several of those types of jackets for the dogs.
Yes.
Dottie doesn't really need one. She's kind of like a bear. She enjoys it.
She laughs.
Yeah, but he's so tight. The hair's so fine and tight. He's got plenty of it. It's just about quarter inch long. But man, it gets to 55. Boy, he'll start. So I put his little dog jacket on him the other day, and he was so excited. And then it dropped a little bit further, and I put the other one is more of like you can mold it to how you want it. It's Velcroed and everything.
Oh yeah.
And so I put the first one on him, and then I remolded the second one around him, and man, he's in hog heaven now. He was so upset he didn't get to come to work with me this morning.
I had dinner with a friend today this week that had has the electric jackets. You know, the ones.
Oh, yeah, those things are awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I kind of like that.
My sister got one of those, I think about 2 years ago, and best that she goes, this is the coolest thing ever.
Well, I have seen them, but I had just never been in the room with one. You know, I don't think that to see how it actually works. And,
it's kind of like a campfire. You just stand around people now.
Yeah, they're giving off a little bit extra.
You don't even have to have a fire anymore.
That's true. I'm going to let you open this most recent text from us because I don't open that, and I don't know what that is. So.
Let's see what we got here.
you can tell us.
If the station bombs after this.
I was going to say, if it blows up, it's not on me.
It would be whoever sent that, not me.
It's on this person.
Oh, it's about Ole Miss. And,
well, okay.
Yeah, it's Ole Miss football stuff. So.
Well, then y'all just go right ahead. Yes, I'm aware there's an issue out there, folks, and we're not paying any attention to that this morning. We're not paying attention to anything except gardening today. This is the green couple of hours. But why do we do this?
To get away from football.
Well, but why do we actually, you know, after people realized that farmers could exist and they could go to the market, you know, every day or every few days and buy some food. Not everybody continued to grow their own food. You realize at one time or another, if you were not a hunter or gatherer, you had to grow something or you would have been kind of run out of the community because you weren't doing anything. So there's a time in our human history when we realized we had to necessarily make a choice. Were we going to grow it or were we going to go to the market? And some people still do both. Well, I really believe that the reason why people continued and then began to grow more things instead of just subsistence agriculture, which is important, but it is just the beginning, you know, is because it is such a pleasure to be a grower. You may not want to do it as a full-time job. You may only want to grow one kind of plant, or you may want to grow a little bit of everything. You may want to do this 2 or 3 hours a day. You may want to do it 2 or 3 hours a week. It really doesn't matter. If it makes you feel good to mess with that green plant or that hopefully better, you know, lots of other colors in that plant if you're lucky enough to have something that's colorful, then you're doing good. And I think that's why people persisted. That's why when you go to a farmer's market, particularly in a rural area, but I'm thinking about the one on the Big Island in Hawaii, every stand that you went to, there were a couple of plants of whatever those people had there to harvest. They would also sell you the plants if you wanted them. You know, go ahead and give it a try yourself. 4 or 5 kinds of bananas in that particular case, lots of tropical things. But that's true everywhere. You'll go and find somebody's got some ginger plants growing, or they've got some herbs growing, or they've got a tomato that they're going to sell you today and let you know that this is what this plant is. You might enjoy growing it too. Those are the things that we share with one another. And luckily it extends to flowers as well. And that's how we end up getting the benefits of what is now known as horticulture therapy. When people first started saying, you know, we should bring plants into hospitals and recovery facilities and places where congregate living happens, because people could share this activity in the same way that they might share a card game or, you know, some other pursuit. There were a lot of people that said, oh yeah, that sounds great. Sure, right. Well, fortunately, the people at the Menninger Clinic began this process I'm pretty sure it was in the 1930s, but it may have been sooner than that. And they began to introduce, and this is the same theory that now allows us to teach animals to go into these kind of congregate facilities. The reason why it works is because people are naturally connected to the things around them unless they're disconnected, unless they've been moved out from it, if you're living in a sterile environment. But if you're not, you can have a house plant, you can have something out the window, you can have, you know, everywhere that around you there can be plants, and if you just touch them, you're going to feel better. The best news about plants is they're not going to argue with you. You may or may not get them right, but there'll be no talking back. You know, and if you get it right, when you get it right, the rewards are tremendous. So that's really, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited that we get a chance to have what has become an annual visit now with Janet Olier from the Gulf Coast Orchid Society. We'll be doing that in the next segment. If you only listen to 1 hour of this show, you may not have heard her before, because I'm pretty sure we were talking in the 9 o'clock hour before. That's why we did this today, to bring her into the earlier part of the program. If you may decide you just, you may decide you just really love looking at orchids, you don't want to grow any, well, this is for you. You may decide, I got to go to an orchid sale. I've had 2 orchids, I want 4. Okay, well, this is for you. You may want to get to know people who like plants as much as you do, but like a different plant than you do. Well, in that case, orchid meetings, orchid societies, orchid shows are for you. So that's why I'm happy to be able to bring her to you. I have just been doing some research in the American Orchid Society pages about Phalaenopsis, because I think they're so beautiful and I want to grow some here in my new digs. But I'm also pursuing the fragrant orchids. It's a small group and people do collect them. I'm probably not going to be able to do that, but I'm fascinated by it. So I look forward to talking with Janet here in just a little while this morning. I'm not sure what else. Oh, hello, Paula from Dentville. Welcome in today. Talk about some, everybody, this is going to be, here we go. This is going to be the cute animal costume, cute animal cold weather gear.
Well, this is, Paula's one, you're talking about giving a dog a better life.
Exactly.
Takes care of that in spades, man, every day.
She's the queen of that. So that's kind of fun. That's a good one. Changing a pet's life day today. Let me ask you something. We have all these lists. They give you the calendars for what today is, and it's this day, and it's that day, and they go all across the different platforms and the different medias. It used to be, I think it was sent out by a group of banks originally. How does Nike get to the top of the list? This is Just Do It Day. Huh. Or did they describe that, and then I guess they bought it. I don't know. But anyway, it's Just Do It Day, so we're going to just do it. You stay right where you are. Get another cup of coffee if you got one. Cup of tea. Come on, we're going to talk about orchids. We'll be right back. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. Oh, my goodness. This is so much fun, y'all. We know how we love putting our pictures up at SuperTalk.tv because, I'm cute, but I'm not nearly as good looking as these plants. And on a day like today, that is especially true. Janet, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming back to see us. This is just so much fun. The Gulf Coast Orchid Society show and sale, y'all, January 30th, 31st, and February the 1st at the Goche Convention Center in Goche, Mississippi. Now, this is all you have to do is jump into any of my feeds or go on Facebook, go to the Gulf Coast Orchid Society's page there, and you'll see all the details about what time and when and this and that. And we will get to some of that, but it's mostly that you got to realize this is the weekend to make these plans. It's going to be a big show. I know folks coming from all across the Gulf Coast, and quite frankly, Janet, I don't know how to tell you this. I think people are going to be looking for somewhere to go after this week of weather. They're going to be heading to the coast.
I know.
Come and see y'all next week. Tell me a little bit about it. What's going on this year, and what are you expecting? What are we going to see?
This year it actually seems like it's going to be a bigger show than it has in the past. We have a new vendor. Maniki Hill Orchids, and he also hybridizes daylilies. So he's not bringing daylilies, but you can contact him. We have more judges than ever. We have a whole judging team, and we have 16 judges coming this year. We've been scraping in the past to get them, and we've had so many hits on our Facebook page. I just look for it to be, the cold weather is going to bring everybody in. You're right.
People are smart. They know where the beauty is, too. And you all have some really dynamic growers that exhibit at your show. This is. I always say, when you want to really learn something, you don't even have to say a word. You go to a show like this, and you just walk around and listen to other people.
Exactly.
You're going to hear so many things.
And our members are going to be walking around, and we can help you, and we can point you in the right direction. We have information. We have booklets. We have We have flyers and papers that are free to the public. Admission is free. Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to spend a cold winter afternoon, to get out of amongst all the beauty. You just can't help but feel better.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, there's the show, and there's also the sales. And so tell us when people can, crack out their debit cards and get busy with you.
Okay, so our sales open Friday from 10 to 6, and Saturday the same hours, 10 to 6, and Sunday it's 10 to 3:30 because we start breaking down after that. Mm-hmm. Our exhibits will be open, which is where you will really see the more experience, the larger plants, and where our plants are being judged. Mm-hmm. So that exhibit's open at 1 on Friday and noon on Saturday, and also until 6. And our exhibits are all day Sunday.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? And I know that you also have some specific hours for sales of larger and more specimen-type plants. That's on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to have an auction on Sunday.
That's what it was,
Well, I forget the time of it. It's at 11. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know that our society has 7 large specimen-sized plants, and some of the vendors are also invited to bring auction-sized specimen plants.
That's wonderful.
And those are going to be really special. Last year they went for large amounts, like hundreds of dollars.
Well,
So,
and that's
that's
where I was going to say it's their rarity and the ability of folks to nurture them to this point, makes a very valuable plant. And frankly, as a fundraiser for your organization and also for those individuals, it's a great way to go because you've got people in the room that know what they're looking at.
Right.
They're people
that are
an expense
specific to put on the show, so this helps fund our show.
Absolutely.
And we don't charge anything for, to get in. We do have raffle tickets to buy. That's another fundraiser. A lot of people get in, too. We have several members who actually have joined the society because they won a raffle plant.
That's great.
So it gets people involved. And we did have a lot of people come from your area last year.
Good.
So I appreciate that having us on last year. We had some people from Jackson.
Well, I think the more we can get the word out, the more likely people are to come and see you because they don't know the show happens. There are always, you always have this idea that there's somebody doing something, but unless you have a chance to hear someone like you talk about it and be so enthusiastic as well as give you the details, you don't necessarily know how to mark it on your calendar. So that's part of the reason why we're so happy that you could be here. In this last year, I have relocated. I'm on the coast. I'm the coastal area now too, and one of the things that I have been amazed at are the number of orchid growers that I just run into, walking around, going to, go over to somebody's house or something, and they have orchids, and I'm really happy. I think y'all are having a great impact all across the coast of this particular. I don't know if anybody's coming from Houston, but they should be. I know they come from Lake Charles and from Lafayette, and then
yes, we
obviously
do.
all the way
We
over
do
to
have
Mobile.
some come from the judging center in Houston. So and some of their members do come. It
makes sense
so
because it's a great trip.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention your vendors because they deserve a good shout out. It's a big deal to go be a vendor and set up at things like this. Florida Star Orchids, Manatee Hill, as you said, Southern Orchids, Spring Orchids, Anita's Tropicals and more, and Hicks Orchids and Supplies. That's another thing. You can walk into a garden center anywhere and somebody's going to tell you what they think you should be doing with your orchids, an orchid mix or an orchid pot or an orchid process. If you want to learn how to grow orchids, you need to go where the orchids are grown. And this show, the Gulf Coast Orchid Society show and sale, is going to give you the opportunity to see this. You're going to be surprised. You're going to learn something every time you go around the corner.
Exactly. And, so many of these, everywhere you're going to see an expert. Almost everyone you see. We're going to have 16 judges. To be an AOS judge, takes 8 years. So you have to be the best
know
of
a
the best
lot, yes,
to be able to be a judge. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that commitment.
Well, and the good news is because there's so many more growers now that you need that many judges, and that's really very cool.
Yeah.
That's y'all have built an organization that attracts a lot of people.
Our society has grown in the last, actually since COVID. People have taken more interest in plants, and orchids seem to be something that the newer, younger people have gotten into, and older people can grow them on their windowsill in the nursing home.
That's right.
I know lots of people who come in and they just buy an orchid for their elderly person in a nursing home, and it just makes them feel better just to have something blooming, and it'll bloom in the winter. So
it really makes a lot of sense. If there's so many orchids that we can live with really easily, and that it just makes so much sense to bring that into every environment. One of our regular texters, Paula, says that last year there was a chocolate orchid that she got to smell, and it was delicious. There is
a chocolate orchid.
I was talking about the fact that I had been downloading things from the American Orchid Society. I was interested in looking at Phalaenopsis, but of course I had to jump over into their fragrant orchid pages because it was so pretty. And we were everybody says, there's only this or there's only that. You don't know that until you go and study a little bit. And the fragrant orchids are quite a thing. I can't afford them, but it's
well, there's some that aren't Cattleyas are not that expensive.
Well, and they are. They're a little bit more fragrant. Yeah, that's true.
Right, and that's the corsage or type orchid that, your grandmother gave you to wear on Mother's Day, and they were always fragrant. There's a lot of them that are fragrant that aren't so expensive. So you get to come to the show. I hope you get.
There'll be some. I'm trying. I'm working on it. There's a lot going on in my world at the moment, and mobility is not the biggest part of it right now. I wanted to also ask you about Charles Wilson because these photographs are wonderful, and I see so many things I'm so glad that y'all not only put the exhibit chairs' names, but that from 2025, for example, Kathy Livingston and Alicia Lick, these are people whose names need to get shouted out because, believe me, they work like nothing. Nobody does this. Nobody would do this for a living. These are the things we do for free that are so amazing.
That's why it's supposed to be fun, and that's something we focus on is trying to make everything fun.
And y'all meet regularly through the year. I know that I get those. I see those notes too. When are those? When do y'all have your regular meetings?
Yes. So Charles is actually an AOS judge, an American Orchid Society judge. He's based out of Atlanta, and he is one of the you have to have an official photographer for your for the award-winning orchid. So the pictures you're seeing are actually award-winning orchids from our show last year.
Just beautiful. So gorgeous.
And he does such a great job. And see, that's another thing that, we have a lot of people that just come to the show and take pictures because they're into photography or they're into, they paint or they take pictures for prints or they take pictures because they are artists and they want to reproduce it.
Or they're like me and they want to put stencils on everything. So
that too.
we end up with beautiful pictures. If you take photographs and turn them, I have one friend who's a garden writer and she's retired now. So what she does is to take the same photos that she's always taken, goes out and gets these magnificent photos and turns them into things like T-shirts and fabrics and things. And I think that's part of what the joy of being a photographer these years is. You can do so many more things with that photography than you used to be able to do.
Nice.
We were laughing about, when we first traveled as photographers, we literally had to carry the tripod with us and all the slide film, and you had to count how many shots you took so that you knew how many pieces of film you had left to use and all these sorts of things that are just absolutely useless now to us because we can shoot all day long with our digital cameras, take better photos, and frankly have more to choose from. So the images are better. and people are able to, people are able to put out
you
more.
can get the perfect picture.
Exactly. And of course, the editing tools are better too. But there's a serious piece of plant growing that you all have demonstrated to the world that I don't think everybody knows about. I mean, you hear Janet talk about the numbers of judges and the training that they have to have and the amount of growing that it takes and quite frankly the value of the plants that are being exhibited here, and you begin to understand why it becomes such a passion for people. And I really do think that the Gulf Coast Orchid Society is a group that if you're trying to figure out what plant you really like, you're going to have a hard time getting out of this show without knowing that it's orchids.
Well,
Tell me,
and that's something that each person, every person's collection is different, and I'm not going to have, and that's what's interesting about them. And there's some people that are more or just Phalaenopsis. That's what they grow, and they do an excellent job of it. And there's other people that are straight on Cattleyas, and they do an excellent job of those. And then there's others that go into the Vandas and the Catasetums. And we have an excellent Catasetum grower. And you've got to see that black orchid in person to appreciate it. There is a Catasetum orchid that's solid black, and that's
gorgeous.
That's rare, and it's hard to grow. But some people, that's just like that. Like when he started, he was brand new at growing, and now he's an expert.
Well, and when you put yourself into things, the results are big. We know that in our professional lives and in our family lives, and we know it in our plant lives if we've ever focused on one particular group of plants. I love how you explain to people you don't have to grow all the orchids. You can grow you can grow one or two or three different kinds, but you can just grow all Cattleyas if you want to. You have that kind of freedom. It's such a big family of plants that there's that many choices. It really is. There are that many choices.
There are thousands and thousands, and there's more being discovered every day, which is really cool. I like to see whenever I see one was found in the wild.
So much fun. Been found before. So much fun. Yeah. Another time we're going to get on here and talk about the native orchids that you can't go to visit. Janet Olier, thank you so much. The Gulf Coast Orchid Society and show and sale is January 30th through February 1st. Y'all be there. If I don't see you there, I'll see you soon, Janet. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank
All right,
you.
now, folks, we'll be back with some more of the Garden Mama Show right after this. It's all love songs this morning. Thank you, Lance. I appreciate that. I think I need to get my bangs cut. What about you, Mark?
Mine are good. I did mine about 30 minutes ago. Good morning.
What's going on?
Burr. Whew. Yeah.
You look cold even now. I want your sweatshirt, though. That's nice.
I know, isn't it great?
Y'all who don't happen to be looking in at SuperTalk.tv, you should be, because Mark's got some beautiful landscape shots. Everybody's all tucked in, ready for the weather.
Yes. Yes. I'm telling you, and I have an amazing observation. There's so much panic out there and people, scurrying around. Gardeners, I'm not going to blanket this and say all gardeners, but most gardeners are pretty calm when it comes to weather events. They just kind of go, okay, let's do what we can, sit back.
Well, yeah, the first time you go through it and the worst thing that I think I ever did myself was to cover things up and then forget to uncover them.
Yes.
Got up and went to work and everything melted underneath.
Right.
The funny thing to me about living in the South is that we all have a buck knife and a gun, and somebody's got a four-wheel drive. You can cook and skin anything. You make gumbo. I mean, you got hunting dogs, and you spend time out catching gators and frog gigging, and yet when it gets a little bit dusty out there, a little snowy, everybody oh my
flips
goodness.
out. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's interesting.
I find a little bit of humor in it. But, I understand everybody handles situations differently, and just let it roll.
Well, and here's the thing. There aren't that many rules about cold weather and gardening, but if you have brand new plants you just stuck in the ground, you just redid your perennial bed in November, you might want to protect them a little bit, but it's probably no more than just some extra mulch, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
I showed you that text on our line from Jeff What do you think Jeff needs to be doing? He has a Dionella plant.
Yes, I see. Larry
Larry,
in
I'm sorry.
Flowood, yeah.
Not the wrong person, sorry.
Larry, that's a great plant, by the way. I have
Love
two
that plant.
that are in the sunroom right now. They're waiting to go back out.
Uh-oh.
That plant will come back, but I would protect it a little bit if you're really attached to it, you know.
The setback could be pretty severe in terms of how long it would take to grow back to that stage.
Yeah, it's a lot like that variegated ginger that will come back, but usually does not rebound like it was before. Dionella tends to be the same way. It looks pretty large if you've got, you know. I don't like using plastic, but you know, to me, because it doesn't breathe very well, and if you do what Garden Mama did and forget to uncover it and the sun comes out,
the next day is not good.
It will burn it severely. I wouldn't be afraid to go ahead and cut it back a little bit.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then try to cover it.
Yeah.
But don't like cut the tips. Cut it all the way back to the crown of the plant. And maybe take a sheet and lightly put around it. You know, we have one of those gigantic wheelbarrows at home.
Dump
and
that over it.
A lot of times what we'll do is flip it over on top of the plant because it's pretty obvious that you need to uncover it that way.
Well, we hope so anyway.
Yeah,
we
it does.
hope you don't do what I did.
It does.
But there's always that. I love that you brought photos for us today of planting that the world o' daffodils there in the bed. I think it's one of the things we always talk about is if you're going to plant a bunch of bulbs, throw them over your shoulder, and don't try to plant them out like little soldiers lined up. Try and give them a little bit more naturalized look to where they are, and I think that really does help. That kind of space is very defined, and so to have plants at a more random positioning is going to actually be a better effect. Otherwise, when you walk up to a bed like that, if the bed is very defined and the plants in it are very defined too, you tend to just keep walking.
Right.
And it is a traffic mover. If you're trying to get people to move, you do that. But ordinarily, what we want is for them to, stop and smell the daffodils for a minute.
I've gone both directions in that particular bed, probably 3-4 years ago, when I ordered we had 500 or 600 caladiums come in. I don't remember. It was ridiculous. I graphed it out. Here's where these are going to be. Here's where these are going to be. I still have the map. Well, the other day when I was limited in time and I had those 500 bulbs looking at me going, okay.
Hi.
I could hear you in the back of my mind going, you bought them. You plant them.
Throw them out there. Gets going. Let's do this.
So I just dumped them into the bulb crate and walked and poured them. Started at one end and just went.
And there's a certain random beauty to that.
Yes. And then when I got to the end, I had a few. And so I went to some real odd places. So there's going to be a few that pop up, and it's going to look like, how did that get there?
One of the things that we talk about in bulbs all the time are what survived the house. And spider lilies and daffodils, the red spiders, tend to be the things that do that. And so for that reason, yes, you will see sometimes there's no house left anymore, but there's very straight lines of daffodils because they were along the side of the house. Okay, that we get that. And it's not unattractive, but when you have the opportunity to be a little bit more random with them, I think you should. I really do.
Yeah, and that bed tends to just rest in the winter because there's not a whole lot that'll, other than the holly fern and the aspidistra that really stand out. So I thought, okay, here we go. I can't wait. I'm so pumped.
There was a wonderful argument in one of my social media things the other day about whether or not aspidistra should be torched to the ground. And I thought about our friend, the amazing Becky Potts, who says cut it back, of course, when it's damaged. There's going to be a lot of damaged aspidistra in the next couple of weeks across the southeast. Please don't just leave it there. And please go cut it down so it can grow back, because that's one of the things you can cut down, because it's literally just standing there. And when it's frozen, it's, I don't think it needs a torch. There was this question was, it's going to be a whole lot quicker if I just take the torch to it. And it's like, no, I don't think you need to do that. I think head shears will be fine, or maybe a string trimmer if you have a whole lot of it. But when that cast iron plant loses all of its green on the top, turns into brown, crispy edges and centers, and then even the little stems that it stands up on, it's not going to come back to green again.
No.
And it's just going to be in the way of the new growth that we're all waiting for, So
Yes.
go ahead and cut it down.
Yeah, a couple of things I wouldn't recommend. Burning it or spray painting it. I would just groom it a little bit. Definitely. Don't you love that juniper that's on the photo there? How it turns
I love that
in
red.
the winter. Yes. Is that Andorra? I believe it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love that.
There are a couple of them that do that, and I don't actually know which one that is. Oh, okay, this was really good. I wondered about this. Last week we got the text that says that we were talking about what deer would eat and what they wouldn't eat, and this was in Madison, and she said that that they would, but actually the autocorrect took out the not. This week I got so many jokes in autocorrect. And the answer is, if you get a text from me and it says something garbled and impossible to understand, it's your puzzle. You figure it out. I'm not going to go back and keep correcting them, because autocorrect really does take normal words and turn. But if you write botanical names and things, it just can't. It just ends up with a letter salad,
It's about
So
like
it's pretty crazy.
voice text.
But anyway, in Madison, the deer do not eat lamb's ears, hellebores, and holly ferns. That's what brought
They're
it to
not.
me, was your holly ferns. So anyway, we're going to step away, but we've got another hour to play with Mark Peaches Patrick. He'll be here when talk to us about your garden, his garden, Lance's garden. We'll be right here. Stick around. We'll be back.
Nations, but the chance of the wet stuff of whatever it may be is 100% in central Mississippi and north tomorrow. Tomorrow night it gets down to 15, Monday 28, Monday night 8 in the Delta 4. So those are temps you're looking at. So as we go through the week, 39 Tuesday night 18, Wednesday 41, Wednesday night 23, Thursday 41 degrees, Thursday night 21. So as you see, this could be an extended issue for your plants. So just go on, and today is the day. You got to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the pets and all the other, the 4 Ps.
Let's have all of our winter in 1 week and get past it.
Let's get it over with. That's right.
There we go.
Winter party.
I like that.
Well, and it is this week. I mean, I love that you tossed in some seed packets for us.
Yeah, I did.
I have to tell y'all, this is really the best time other than there are other plants you want to wait to plant, but things like cilantro and parsley and the spring things that we're trying to get a grip on. This would be a good weekend to set that up and get started.
And it's a good weekend to go shopping because they were stocked up full.
Yeah,
and I took
so
the advice of Mark Peaches Patrick.
Yes.
I called him the other day. I said, when do I go get my giant mammoth sunflowers, my Russians,
Today.
my zinnias?
That's what I told him.
He
I
goes,
said,
you better go now.
Yeah.
And
Go
I did.
now.
So the stocks are full. If you're looking for those things, it's a great selection right now at your major retailers. And I'd go get them now if you have time.
And, as hard as it is to believe, right behind you is 4 or 5 carloads of zinnia lovers that are about to come by, every one of them.
That's right.
And the only way you're going to find one a month from now is if it actually got placed in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Or you hit it yourself behind
Exactly.
like the ant
Yeah.
spray or something.
We don't want anybody
never
to
would
do
do
well.
that.
No, of course not. Have I ever done? Oh no, I haven't. Oh yeah, well maybe. Sometime, once or twice maybe.
Hey, if you love something, you have to make sure you have it, right? I mean,
Yes.
Exactly.
And so,
Yes.
but thank you, Mark, because you were exactly right, as you always are. And
Well, I don't know about that.
But no, I mean, you did. I mean, I would have been really upset if I'd have waited 2 weeks and gone in there and gone, what? This is what I get to choose from?
That this is it. Yeah.
this
And
is it.
the thing is that the seeds that you see on display now were ordered last summer for for distribution at this particular point in the season. So it's not that easy to reorder. That's why we often talk about we always want you to shop local and then have a couple of other opportunities, some other resources in your back pocket that you know about and that you like. But let's face it, folks, there's not going to, mail is going to get there because, you know, they always get there. But if you ordered seeds last week, they may be delayed a day or two.
They could be.
Yeah, this is a big daddy storm here.
This is a serious bit of weather that we're looking into, and we always try to make sure that you know that we don't take things lightheartedly. We just know that we're tough. You know, we human beings, we're tough. We'll get
Hey, do you
through
think
this. And most of our plants will too.
Do you think maybe they named this storm Fern because there's not many people named Fern anymore, and like Myrtle and things like that? You know, do you think that because they don't want to upset anybody? You know, you're naming a terrible winter storm after somebody, and like if they named it Jonathan.
If I was the storm namer, I would have named it Pyracantha.
Yeah, or something.
Something else that you don't like.
Something thorny and mean.
Yes.
You know?
What is that grass that grows with the little spines in it in the summer, and you walk out there barefoot?
Yeah.
What is that stuff called?
Well, it's burrgrass or sticker grass.
That's what it should have been called. Yeah. Nobody likes that stuff.
And I know that I know they name everything, okay? But I did not realize that this one was fern. I wasn't paying enough attention. That tells me that I've also missed A through E because they've already happened to get to fern. So.
They do name everything, like Dumpster Dan, who's doing well, by the way.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's good.
He's enjoying himself.
Hey, we got a great question here.
What's up?
From Larry and Flowood. Did we get to that one already?
I did.
Yeah,
okay, good deal. I thought that was the one. Yeah,
And I do want to add a plant to the deer-proof list for this young lady. Ligularia.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because it sounds like it would be great in your yard. You need to look that one up if you haven't already.
Ligularia is a nice plant anyway.
Yeah.
Is there a way to plant for deer instead of against them? In other words, if I know, but no, hear me out. So I have all this, all this beautiful yard and all these beautiful plants that I know the deer are just going to devour. I've had this issue before.
Right.
How do I grow something that keeps them in another area? Like if I've got a yard, how do I bait them over here and keep them away from over there?
Purple hull peas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turnips, purple peas, those what you would put in a food plot, basically.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
If you put them, the theory that a lot of people have worked on is that you can divert either deer or squirrels or whatever to another part of the yard, and sometimes it does work. I'll tell you that all the squirrels, when I tried to feed the squirrels on the other side of the yard so they quit eating my tomatoes, they seem to have called all their friends.
No.
And so that didn't work.
Squirrel party.
So another
exactly.
good deer one, simply because it rebounds so well after they devour it, would be sweet potato.
Well, no, that's true. Yeah, because they can eat sweet potatoes, the ornamental ones, right down to the ground, and 2 weeks later the bed's full.
Yeah, so you have a constant supply.
That's very true.
Yeah.
It's not pretty, but yes.
It's not wilderness. It's pretty until they eat it.
Right, exactly.
They do love that stuff. So what's on your agenda and your weather in your neck of the woods?
We're looking at a couple of cold days here on the coast.
Yeah.
And that's it'll be wet, it'll be cold, and we'll all complain a lot, and y'all will laugh at us. So it'll be great. It'll be great. I have to tell you, this is another point in the year, just like I try to do in the center of July when it's this way. But when it's this cold, we want to send out a thank you to all of our HVAC repair people.
Yes.
Because we know y'all are up to your elbows with broken heaters.
Yes.
Thank you so much for helping the rest of us. This is a very important occupation at this time. And, of course, the food delivery people,
Yeah.
y'all are going to have a big weekend.
Don't you know the Door Dashers are going to be busy?
All of that.
I hope they all have chains on their cars.
Speaking of that particular the part of the world that we're into for food this particular week, dear friends, this is National Compliment Day, so that's one reason I'm passing out compliments to HVAC and food delivery folks. But I try to do that anyway because, let's face it, the only way to get a compliment is to learn how to give them. Otherwise they don't come back to you as well. But today is Lobster Thermidor Day. Now,
nice.
Y'all, this is a dish invented by the French because they wanted people to eat lobsters. It doesn't taste anything like lobster. It's got so much other stuff in it. But it's a creamy sauce with brandy and mustard. It has cheese in it. And if you don't like lobster, you're going to love Lobster Thermidor. I'm sorry.
Well, and
That was the first lobster dish I ever ate. I had no idea. I had never eaten lobster until later when I actually ate the thing. But
for dessert, it's actually National Irish Coffee Day too.
well, now that's a good choice on a cold winter's day.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And as I was, researching as we do National Day of, Monday's going to be a pretty cold day. We may be stuck inside. It's National Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day. So if you have nothing
if you happen
else
to have,
to do,
if you happen to have a little time,
you
eat
can
some
hang
bubble
out
wrap.
with your bubble wrap and, pass
That
away.
that is one of those noises that you either like or you don't.
Yeah. Keep your hands busy while
And
Fern passes through.
If you've been out there wrapping your plants and wrapping your pipes and you still have some bubble wrap left, this is the day that you can play with it.
Well, there's those points in life when bubble wrap is an annoyance, and then there's those points in life where you're panicking, going, golly, I wish I could find some bubble wrap.
I really need some bubble wrap over here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I think a bubble wrap stash somewhere in the house is not a bad idea for anybody.
I have to say it's not one of my favorite sounds, but I'm always happy that it's in the drawer when I need to mail something. That is absolutely true. Especially when, you talk about, I've talked about them here before. My friends over at Cat Call Landscapes in Louisiana have a really good Etsy store, and they sell plants there. They just put out their new list for what they'll be shipping in February. And that's one of those things where you have to really know who's sending it to you. And bubble wrap is an important element.
It is.
In a lot of plant disbursement, if we can make, and some folks do, the Cat Call folks usually have a small pot, but some other folks that have ordered from will use bubble wrap instead of a container because it's not only cushiony, but it also can hold the soil and whatnot in it, and it doesn't weigh anything.
Right.
So when you go to ship, it doesn't add a whole lot to the cost of something, and that's all right. You're already got to pay for a box or something to put it in. We are all looking at more and more ways to order plants, to get them from different places, and I'm really not sure what the answer is to all of that, except that we're just innately curious.
Yes.
And we can't help it. We got to see how that's going to look and how it's going to turn out.
Well, I have an update for you.
Yes, sir.
Miss Anna called from Oxford, wanted me to let you know that her paper bush is going to suffer immensely from this storm we
I
have.
wondered about that.
Yeah,
because she's already got flowers on it.
Yeah,
and
it's
sleeting.
in full bloom, and so you said third year in a row she's going to have to redo everything because as we sit right now, it looks like a finger painting where your grandmother gave you every color to work with. Basically, from about Greenville north, you do have a little hole over here south of Tupelo right now, but anything north of there is getting that icy mix. It's freezing, getting more dangerous out there. If you're in that neck of the woods, folks, please don't go out gallivanting today. Yeah. It is coming and blowing in. Jackson looks okay now. You got a couple little, in central Mississippi, you got a couple little pieces that are hanging around, but as far as it goes now, Greenville, Mississippi North, so that's about Highway 82, which is usually one of those demarcation lines. Just be careful, folks. It's starting to roll in. And
it isn't going to stop, unfortunately.
No, we've got days of this,
Meteorology is a fascinating field, okay? And everybody who's a gardener pretends to be a meteorologist. But when you actually watch those folks, they're a little nervous.
Yes.
They're a little nervous.
I'll tell you one little good site for folks that are just curious to watch this as it goes. Obviously, we have some very good technology here in the U.S. that with NOAA and Weather Channel and all those different ones. But the Eurocast is a very good model to look at, and the one that I'm looking at is called Tropical Tidbits. And people can say, "Well, I'm not in the tropics." Well, it's just the way it's named for this region. But it gives you a full look at the U.S., the East Coast, all the way over to the coast of Africa. And it gives you a slider up here where you can move this thing as you move forward in time. And if you are in that area, you can really see what the impact will be from those. So it really does a great job of forecasting out in front of where we are, where most of our stuff is maybe a day out accuracy. This is extremely good meteorological tool. So it is the one I'm using, again, is Tropical Tidbits, but I just type in Google Eurocast Weather Today or Eurocast Model Today and choose the Tropical Tidbits link, and it is absolutely phenomenal, and hopefully it will be helpful for some of you out there that are going, okay, what is this going to look like? It'll show you pretty good.
There's a lot of folks who have, in the last decade, added generators to their world, and they are indeed all ready to get powered up. Don't run it in your house.
Yeah, please.
Let me just say this several times, because there are people who are not aware or who think they're different from the rest of the world or something. But this is not something to run in your house. And much like a kerosene heater, you don't put this in your house.
Yeah, and if you have those old heaters that look like a rat's been chewing on the cord,
They may
throw
have.
them away.
Throw them away.
Go get another
Throw
one.
them away.
You're going to need it during this in some cases. So.
Yes.
But yeah, I had a conversation with my 79-year-old dad yesterday. We were talking about football, and I said, "Hey, you ready for the storm?" He goes, "Oh, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "Dad, come on, man." We watch the Weather Channel 24/7, so we had to go through the checklist. And I said, "All right, we may meet at Lowe's today and get some basic stuff that you need. Like you might need some candles, you might need a bucket of water, you know, some things." I said, "Well, what you going to eat if the power goes out?" "Well, we got chili and this." No, that's going to be cold, man. You got to have some bread and some meat, some milk, stuff like that. But don't run to the store and raid it. But at the end of the day, have some things that will carry you over for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, there's a friend of ours that's up north of you out in Leake County, and the question was, is there enough pet food? There's enough people food, but is there enough pet food?
Yes.
These are important questions, so you have to take care of our critters.
The pepperoni, and the
all of that.
Well,
the bacon chunks. Yeah, they'll be bought out.
Exactly.
As Lance put it, silver spoon heated pool, peaches. Growing up like I did, I know that a can of pork and beans sat in the fireplace just for a minute can be delicious.
Oh yeah, I mean if you've got a grill, you can do a lot with canned food. I
have done this.
We do need our northern experienced folks to give us a little bit of something.
Like, we have Buddy coming in, and he'll just start. His teeth will start chattering. Like I left that for a reason.
That's right.
I don't want any more of this stuff.
Exactly. I have a friend that was originally from Ohio that said, "Oh, no, I don't go out of my house." That's why I left Ohio. Speaking of all this, question for you, Mark.
Yes, ma'am.
We're looking at pansies on a garden center bench here in SuperTalk.tv. My pansies going to be okay?
They're going to be fine.
If I'm in Clarksdale, they're going to be okay?
They're going to look rough, but they'll rebound. That plant. How it got a name or the word pansy is.
How did we ever take that implication from it that was somehow less than, completely stalwart? Yeah.
Yes, I know. They're going to look rough, but they're going to bounce back. The pansy is really super resilient.
It's true.
After it warms up, go out, deadhead them a little bit. Do not cut them back.
No, you can take the dead flowers off, yeah.
Yeah, do not cut pansies back. Deadhead them, clean them up a little bit. Maybe give them a little, liquid feed after this passes.
Yeah, in a week or 10 days, I think they'll all be back.
Yeah. You'll just be like, wow.
Be starting over again.
Yeah, I kind of shake my head.
For folks who planted their sweet peas, for example, in Tupelo at Thanksgiving, you're probably going to want to plant again on Valentine's Day. That's why we have 2 chances to plant those flowers. Yes. And there are a few things that are going to get toasted. There's no question. But that's all right. That's all right. We'll have a little more time.
Why do pansies do so well? I mean, like I've had them where it just absolutely pulverized them with ice and snow and all that, and then a week later, and you've thrown them out off the back porch, and you go look, and they're still growing.
Essentially,
they get the name pansies.
Essentially, they're getting back at the person that named them pansies.
Yeah, I mean, but what is it about them? They're so dainty and pretty and almost
they have
fragile.
They have a much wider native range than people realize.
Yes.
They literally grow from the top of the mountain down to the south. But they also have a lot of breeding behind them. And because people like them so much, they've tried to breed them for every kind of environment.
And they really...
We can talk some more about that, this, and the other thing. This is the Garden Mama Show. We're having some fun this morning. I hope you are too. We're admiring our tortoise and all of his greens. We'll be right back. I hate to say that I know all the words to this.
Have you ever made a lemonade pie? Because I want one.
Actually, I think I have at one point in my life, yes.
I got to have one of those. Anybody knows the recipe for Mr. Fred's lemonade pie that Judy was eating on? Yeah.
They're out there. They're out there. Y'all, sometimes life is stranger than art, and sometimes it bespeaks it. You know, it tries to get you to do stuff. I'm pretty sure that there's not a sci-fi trend already in this particular direction. But when we talk about headlines that inspired Netflix, for example, somebody's out there writing this right now. Scientists sent viruses to space, and they evolved in surprising ways. Well, yeah, that's a little disturbing.
That is a little disturbing.
But anyway, I'm ready to write the script. The good news is that they act differently, and it's something that we can now study and may have other applications for, which is what you always hope. But the unintended consequences of this particular story happened in my life at the same time I was reading it and getting ready to put it to y'all's attention this morning, when I realized that 2001: A Space Odyssey was going to be on some channel. And I was like, oh, dear, man. I need to think about this.
If y'all like sci-fi stuff, the movies from the 50s, when it was all new.
The Day the Earth Stood Still? Come on.
Some of the ones you've never heard of. I've gotten in a rabbit hole lately of watching those. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. I mean, you can't, whatever the scripts are they're writing
Killer
today,
Tomatoes.
they're nothing like the creativity of that stuff back then. I mean, it's all CGI now.
Well, I'm a noir and sci-fi girl, but my interests pretty much do stop after I was born. I mean, these are all old things that I didn't see in my childhood because they were already old at that
these
time.
were already old. I mean, I've watched a couple of black and white ones. Most of them are in color. And the colors,
bad color.
Oh man! I mean, it's not Technicolor. I don't know what they were using.
Bad color.
But
Bad color.
It's when
People are different shades of this and blue. I mean, it's just weird. It's
that and
strange.
the unitards. I really appreciate that everyone was supposed to be wearing a jumpsuit, and the ones that are on the men are so tight. You know, you're like, it's supposed to be the other way around. You know, the ladies' ones are a little bunchy. And,
No, there are those of us who appreciate those leotards.
Some of the actors, though, aren't in the best shapes. What I'm saying is, like, this guy's got a belly on him, and they got him in a unitard that's too tight. And then you got Farrah Fawcett over here in a really loose. You're like, what's going on here, man?
We all know not everyone is qualified to wear a unitard.
No, this is
it's just fact.
This is
So
very
if you have your power over the next 3 or 4 days and you have nothing better to do, trust me, go into a deep dive.
Jump
in. Like if it's
come
like
on in.
Aliens from Mars attack. That's a good one, I promise you.
Well, Nellie started this while we're on sci-fi and science. A friend of mine, coworker, brought to my attention something that she had read on, I don't know, on the internet, that August the 17th, 2026, gravity is supposed to go to zero for like 6 seconds. Have you heard this?
Are we going to celebrate your birthday that much?
We're going to have to do this.
But can you imagine if that happens? If you're like in a grocery store and everything lifts off the shelves and then crashes to the ground?
Do they know the time when that's going to happen yet? No.
I don't know.
What time were you born?
Yeah. I was a morning baby on the 16th. Yeah. So.
6 seconds of no gravity.
Okay, well, we're going to mark that on our calendars, y'all.
We need to hear from Max Planck on this.
Talk about
That's right. We got to find out what the Max Planck folks tell us.
Talk about being lightheaded.
That would be very lightheaded. I have to say, though, gravity is one of those things that if you don't understand that it exists, and some people don't, some people, still don't think that that's why we're standing up rather than floating away. It must be, the world must be very confusing. I always think about, I've known people in my life, I've encountered people in my life who really believe the earth is flat, and I cannot in my world of brain figure out how you see that. I can't get there.
Have you done the deep dive into the Tartaria or the?
Oh my goodness! Here we go.
No, I mean it's absolutely. It's like
Yes.
I mean there's so much that doesn't add up, but yet there's this whole group of people apparently that believe this stuff, much like flat Earth, and you're like, how do you?
how do we talk to them?
They talk about it's like, the mud flood killed all the giants, but left all the normal people and created all these orphans. And you're like, how does that work?
How does that work?
Yeah. It's just like the most bizarre stuff people can believe in today. It's available.
Tell you what,
And then we turn around and read headlines from people that have done research, and suddenly they're finding their bones.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No,
it's hard to,
It's hard to make it all add up.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all dive into that, and I'll be in the corner with my bubble wrap, my Irish coffee, and my lemonade pie. And then
sound
you
like a
can
good
give me a
corner.
report later.
Yeah, we did have a great update from Marshall and Terry, who said, Lance, just get a recipe for key lime pie and substitute lemon. So I said,
Well,
that
there
sounds
you
like a
go.
plan. That's
Yeah.
what we're going to do then.
There you go.
I've had a Meyer lemon pie that I really wanted to take home from the party, and it was not my party and not my pie.
Yeah, that's what you
But
just put it on your
But
coat.
it was that good, yes.
You put it on your coat and run.
Absolutely.
Can't do that.
No.
Nellie, and you mentioned, and we can't overlook this because, it's one of our flower holidays. Valentine's Day is coming up, folks.
I can't believe how quick, this, phew.
And when this snow melts, get out to your local garden center because there's going to be all kinds of goodies.
Beautiful things.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Nellie, do you know the story? Is there why we chose the rose as the signal of love? Given that there's so many beautiful flowers, so many variations, and so many colors, I never really, and a rose is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but how did that become the give your lady a bouquet?
I really believe that along the way, poets have embraced it as a very complicated metaphor for love.
Gotcha.
All the way back to Shakespeare, a rose is a rose is a rose, all those kinds of things. But to put a slightly more modern spin on it, they're very profitable.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay?
Makes sense.
And they're red, and so that goes along with this notion that we've created about Valentine's Day. But I do think, they're a beautiful flower. There's no question about that. But I believe that they are associated with Valentine's Day because somebody discovered they could be grown in warm areas
Nice.
and shipped still in bud to places like Vancouver, or Montreal or London or New York City or Jackson, Mississippi, and they would still be intact when they got there.
Well,
So-
it was the perfect storm, too, because not everything, but a lot that has to do with a rose happens around the middle of February. Mm-hmm. It's time to prune them. It's time to plant them.
So timing means something,
There's
too. as well.
Valentine's Day.
They're readily available at this time.
Oh,
they're very
yes.
profitable, and they're very complex.
Well, and I think, too, that because at a certain point for instance, if you're a rose grower in Southern California or Northern Colombia or somewhere, out in that temperature range where you can grow them about 10 months out of the year. It's too hot a couple of months, but the rest of the time you can grow roses. And you grow them as bushes in a greenhouse so that they're protected from everything. You just cut for Christmas. So you're going to have to cut again in about 6 or 8 weeks, and that puts you at Valentine's Day. So it's a good thing. If we hadn't already invented it, we would have invented it as a flower to go with that because we have them ready to ship. And it makes a whole lot of sense to do that. We have embraced in the same way that we embraced poinsettias because they're so beautiful and their colors fit in with our holiday time. I think that's how we ended up with roses. The notion of roses comes from way back when. It was probably the first flower that anybody actually recognized and put into literature beyond a daisy. And it was because of its slightly more complicated nature, I think, that it became the metaphor for love.
Well, thank you. That's what I
Now,
needed
that
to hear.
being said, I like yellow roses myself.
The yellow rose of Texas.
If you're sending me a dozen,
There you
send
go.
yellows,
Yeah, and by the way, newsletter was beautiful this week, Garden Mall.
Oh, thank you.
It was beautiful.
We're going to talk a lot about roses in February, and I wanted to get people a little bit juiced up. So this week's newsletter, and by the way, we've got new people on Patreon as well coming into the newsletter world. So thanks y'all for that as well. There are so many qualities about roses, and I don't understand why people don't love to grow them. So I'm trying to do a little push that says, somebody tell me why not, but so far I've only had good comments, so I appreciate yours. Thank you.
Kudos to whoever wrapped whatever that plant is that is protected.
Yeah, no, that thing looks very
Isn't that
comfortable.
great? That's the bay leaf. That's the bay leaf tree that Greg and Vaughn says takes teens and temperatures in the teens very badly. So his is probably like mine. Used to be a tree, and then after it froze, you started wrapping it. So that looks like it will survive very well.
He did an outstanding
We
job.
like it. Looks puffy. You know, looks like the Michelin Man.
It kind of looks like Java the Hutt. It's gigantic and green.
A little of that. A little of that.
Just a little. Good job.
Where's Carrie Fisher when you need her? Huh?
There you
Man, really.
go. We have more lemon icebox pie.
Oh, I know. My mama's
fun.
now the lemon icebox pie.
That's another
And again,
good
I don't know
one.
what a lemonade pie is, but I'm in. But my mama's lemon icebox pie was, I mean, to me, award winning. You know, I loved it. Key lime, lemon
we
icebox.
learned to make meringue around lemon meringue pies.
Oh man.
That was another.
Now, does the icebox pie, is that the one that has to have the little fluff on top of the, the fluffed marshmallow or whatever?
I don't really know.
think it's
Probably, but I know
marshmallow.
that it is a more custardy.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it has to be in the refrigerator to set. It's not a baked pie.
Not
There
a
you go.
baked pie.
There you go.
You know, like coconut cream or some of those.
Yeah,
things
oh
you
yeah.
put
I
in
mean,
the
I'm a
refrigerator.
love. I mean, that was one of the great
Yeah.
things about being a kid with grandparents that knew a little bit about food, especially on my dad's side they farmed and cooked everything, and the sweets. Goodness gracious. I mean, it was just like
We
a
were having that
smorgasbord.
discussion. There are a lot of people every older generation thinks this about the next generation. I can remember my grandparents saying they'll never know how to do anything. Well, guess what? We all learned how to cook. We all, we all learned how to at least keep the house from falling down around us and that kind of stuff. But that's what everybody says now, that the kids are just scrolling, that they don't really know anything. They know a lot, y'all. You just have to ask them. And they will put on their boots and get going, but you got to ask them. Don't ignore them. I think that's important. I'm not going to say it's all peace and love, but it could be at least a little bit. If you extend yourself, most of the time, anybody of any age is going to extend themselves back to you. And if you're trying to figure out whether or not this person knows how to make rice, or knows how to do potato salad, or whatever it is that you're trying to teach them how to cook. If you do it often enough and they're around, talk about something else. They'll see what you're doing. They're very good multitaskers. They can see 5 or 6 things at one time, and that's a quality I wish I had.
Well, these gardeners have gone full-blown lemon pie.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
This is
I
the
love it.
best stuff.
Way to go,
Meringue
Lance.
is
You
never
like
know
that.
what
And you
hits,
know
you
that
know?
there's 6 kinds of meringue too, y'all. I don't know all of them myself, but I do realize that there are many different ones.
I'm wondering when Paula's going to pipe in on the food.
Well, you know,
issue,
Paula's
you know.
got a recipe.
Well, yeah.
She probably feeds it to the turtle. The turtle
There
eats
you
good.
go.
Remember, it had like
Tell you
the
what,
turtle had like a strawberry parfait or something one time. I
And
can't remember.
today the turtle is sitting amongst all the greens. The turtle's ready for the week.
I really, yes. I wonder if she carries that turtle
He's
around
settled
with her
in.
everyher she goes.
I think she does, yeah.
I think she
A lot of
does.
people do.
Yeah.
Look, y'all, Paris Hilton wasn't the first person to put a chihuahua in a purse. She may have been the loudest, but she wasn't the first one.
Oh, that's great. There's that tortoise. Just amazing.
So beautiful. So lovely.
Yeah. Lifelong pet, too.
Well, yeah.
Definitely a lifelong
Put
pet.
them in your will. I do have one other unintended consequences story for you today that you may or may not want to hear about. Do you eat anything that involves frogs? There are people who love frog legs. There are other people who don't. There are people who appreciate that particular addition to their cuisine, and other folks that don't. I didn't know that bullfrogs were so popular that they were actually imported to places and then grown there. But apparently Brazil took up bullfrog raising as an industry. And somewhere along in there, the BD, the chytrid fungus got into them. And because there's no natural predators, because this was an environment, they were brought into the environment because they could grow so well, nothing really controlled it, and it didn't bother them. Unfortunately, it's gotten out into the international bullfrog trade. So if you're out there eating bullfrogs, you may actually get a deadly fungus worldwide. Got to be
Right.
careful what we introduce, don't we?
Right.
Be careful with your gigging.
That's right. Be careful what we introduce. Think about those crepe myrtles. Now we got crepe myrtle fungus. And black. This and that.
Well,
There's a lot to talk about, a lot to consider.
We only have one bullfrog at home, Freddie.
Well, hello, Freddie. We'll be right back. Well, we're going to need this playlist, my friends. Today was good. Thank you, Lance.
You got it.
You know, I say sometimes you have to just kind of let go of some things. And since I've let go of the music, it's a lot better. I have to admit.
have it.
Thank you very much. The Monstera is a tangled mess. I love that description because it sure can be. Should I take cuttings and root them? Sure, absolutely.
Yes. And
Monstera is one of those plants that'll eat your house.
It will. It will.
What do you think? How big a cutting, though, Mark? You know, when we're looking at it, it's going to be really branched and really very stiff in some places.
Yes, it's going to be. You know, if you can root the ones that are the tangled mess, the big ones, but go all the way down until you start seeing kind of a callous stem.
Oh, yeah.
You know, at a joint, it'll look kind of rough, almost like it has a bark to it.
The whole philodendron family will form those. Sometimes they're more pronounced than others, and Monstera does a real good job, whether it's Siloam or philodendron, whatever you're calling it.
And it's going to root a lot better if you get down into that woody area. The softer tissue isn't going to root as well, and most likely will, turn into mush after a while. You can do that in soil. You can do that. I like doing it in water until I start seeing the roots emerge.
Well, and it doesn't take very long.
No, we're talking maybe when fern is gone, it'll be ready, and then go into some soil, because you also that way you see if you've got a valid cutting. Before.
Well, yeah, because if it won't even begin to send out a little initial, that particular one's not going to be viable. You may as well compost it. That's true. You're exactly right.
And take as many as you want to get the plant under control, because you're just going to anger it and it's going to come right back.
Yeah, every time you cut it, it may not necessarily branch, but it is going to send up another start.
If you don't need
sometimes it'll branch.
If you don't need all those cuttings, give them to someone who might want them. It's
a good one to share because they're easy to grow.
And depending on what Monstera you've got, you may have $100 cutting on your hands. You just never know.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, look them up on. Go to Etsy.
There's so many of them now. It's amazing.
Greg and Kathy are sending pictures of those blueberries that she wrote about. We're right on the edge for a lot of ice, so we're just going to see what happens.
Yes.
Those buds are really tight. I'm going to say I hope they're going to be okay. We will just have to see.
Timing is everything, folks.
Timing
is everything.
Very, very true. For those folks who are, like some of my family, not fans of carrots, the American Chemical Society would like to let y'all know that there is now a new use for those carrots. Carrot processing leftovers turn into a really delightful and appealing protein that in taste tests actually has beaten out vegan patties and other things made out of other stuff.
Oh, no.
So this is what you're going to see next. Many preferred the versions made with this particular fungal protein over those made with soy or chickpeas, which are the other two big plant-based things. Now, you're not going to be eating carrots. They're using the carrot waste as a growing strata to grow the fungus that turns into a proteinaceous fungus to eat.
Well,
I can see that you don't like this idea.
I'm not a fan of carrots at all.
But you won't know it's a carrot. It's just a way for them to
If I read the label, I might. I'm going to have to start reading labels.
I have to say, I did try some chickpea pasta, and I didn't like it.
I've had chickpea pasta.
It didn't taste like chickpeas. It didn't taste like, it didn't cook like pasta. So neither one was working for me.
I'm the kid that sat at the dinner table with a pot pie and rolled the carrots off to one side. That's tedious.
Did you teach my children how to do that? My children have never done carrots. I have to hide them.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Do not know.
I don't know what this. You got a text from Ray in Long Beach. You'll have to tell me about later.
I'm not sure
I
about
don't know
that.
about that.
I'm not sure what he's referring to. I know we have basketball that's coming
We'll
on
find
because
out
all the
later.
games shifted around, but I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to go check.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ray, for not having an answer.
Oh my goodness.
There we go.
My uncle had over 1,000 peach trees. Woo! That's an orchard there. Lined up barrels and tires and whatnot, but it always kept them from freezing. That's true. People do, as you were talking about, dropping the wheelbarrow over the top of the plant.
Right.
You know, it is that kind of thing. You're just going to drop something on top of there and cover it up and come back a little bit later. I have done that to figs that were particularly well budded out too. So, in a time or two when they were young, you know.
So here's an interesting tidbit that I discovered yesterday, the day I was planting the bulbs. Hypoestes still alive in January.
Oh my goodness! What a surprise!
I was shocked.
Nerve plant or whatever people call that
Yeah.
one. It's just, you know, there's always that one gardener that sends a picture in early March of an impatient that is blooming in the garage, in the concrete, okay?
Right. Yeah.
And that's just the stalwartness of plants, the endurability really is part of the reason we admire them so. They're not always tougher than us, but they're certainly an inspiration. Tell
Okay.
me what flowers you've brought this morning. I didn't even look.
I raided the greenhouse.
They're so pretty.
Geraniums. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Isn't that amazing?
Just gorgeous. Another good reason to have a greenhouse, y'all.
I'm telling you.
Hey, one thing, Mike called in a break, or right when we were going to one, and he had a great suggestion on pies. He said, well, why don't we have a pecan cobbler, like a pecan pie cobbler?
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was like, man, that sounds delicious.
That's a good idea. Why not?
I want to say there's actually one out there in the marketplace, and it's
I've never
called a
seen it.
pecan cobbler
I have never seen
in
it.
the frozen food aisle.
I'm going to look for it.
Google it. There you go.
My own taste runs towards pecans anyway, so that's
Yes.
I'm more of a walnut person, but if it's a pie, I'm not going to turn that down.
Where's the demarcation line for where it turns into pecans?
Pecans.
Is that like north
St.
of
Louis.
St. Okay, I
don't
figured
know.
you knew that. Sounds like a
Mark would
logical
know.
answer.
Mark would know.
I
the
would
answer.
know. You know, I think it's still pecan even in Missouri.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll say Chicago then.
Yeah, Des Moines. Yeah, everybody in
Des Moines.
everybody in Des Moines says things a
A
little,
little
bit
different. Yeah, yeah.
They do.
Yeah, it's got to be a cutoff line somewhere.
It's, you know,
pecans instead of pecan.
The home of Jello. I think
Really?
it changed it. Yeah,
Ah, there you go.
yeah.
Price is letting us know that back in the day, the peach orchard south of Terry would burn hay to keep the things warm, but the smoke moved over and caused wrecks on the freeway. Whoops. That's a little bit dangerous.
Not good.
But yeah, that's true. They did used to burn hay in orchards. I don't really know that I knew they stopped, but this would be why. You have to be a little bit more careful. We encourage everybody to keep listening, of course, for the updates on the weather. Keep yourselves, if you've got your crank up radio and your electricity goes out, you can still hear us because you'll just wind that thing up. Y'all all have that still in the closet. I know I do. That's, you don't know what I'm talking about. You wish you did on a day like today. But really and truly, it's here now. And the days are going to get busy, get yourself done. Lance, we encourage you to take care of your dad. Make sure that, I don't know, make sure the thermostat, the heater has a thermostat. I don't even know what to say about all that. But it is important that everybody be careful because this is the time when things happen. You don't need the fire department at your house. Okay. You also don't need your pipes to freeze. So all of these things have to work together for you to keep yourself and your family, and in some cases your garden. Keep yourself safe. Coming up next week, Ken Hackman will be in for us.
Ah, the Birdman.
Yeah, the Birdman will be here. He's going to
Well,
have
look, in honor of the
great
Birdman,
interview.
I'm going to have a ducky day.
Well, please do. Thank you, Lance. Thank you, Mark.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Take care of yourselves. We'll see you then.